When are you going to wake up and actually start taking care of your health? Investing in your health, investing in your happiness, and investing in your life the way you really should be. Think of all the time that you spend resources on things that don't provide you a long-term benefit. Look at that. Just boom, 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 down the line. Now you're dwelling, you're thinking, probably triggered by a couple times where you were like, oh, well, I'm willing to settle. I'll just get the instant gratification now and worry about it later. I don't have to invest in the me right now's health, because the me right now is gonna be different in the future. So I could slack off a little. I could settle. I don't really need it now. And then you start right there with the habit of investing your resources into things that don't provide you long-term benefits. And then over time, it just compounds, it compounds, and it compounds. And then what are you left with? The you that's here now. Now, don't want to dwell on the past. Obviously, the you the you that is here now is the only one that's going to be able to move forward and execute properly, but it won't be able to be, right action. You can take all the massive action you want, but if you're not taking right action, investing in your health, investing in your life, investing in your happiness, then what good does it do for the you now to just set up the future you for more failure? Like what I mentioned about spending resources on instant gratification instead of things that will provide long-term benefits is a major blind spot, major pitfall I just see people dropping to left and right. It's easy, the temptation is there. Things are good. You want to enjoy the fullness of life. Don't get me wrong. It's good to treat yourself. It's good to go outside of the normal and try new things. And I'm just talking about check your blind spots, because take conditioning. Repeated exposure to something will get you in the habit of tolerating it. Oh, I'll settle for the junk food. I'll settle for the quick meal. It's not as healthy for me, but I can invest in my health later. I want it now. I mean, you may have great self-control, but I'm not saying don't have cheat meals if you're on some regimen. Enjoy life, treat yourself, but make sure that that you're not investing in your health. And in turn, it may give you the instant gratification. You may be investing in happiness when you do that, which is totally chill. But make sure that you're not creating the habit of settling, conditioning yourself through repeated exposure of, oh, I'll settle for, the less healthy option. I'll sit home and watch Netflix instead of going out and doing something, taking action. You're not only settling for inactivity, not saying like gym versus Netflix, but just inactivity in general. Lack of action. You're starting to settle for a more stagnant lifestyle where you're not engaged with what's around you, You're just, going with the flow. Not really doing much, just sitting there, getting conditioned by yourself or through external influences, social conditioned, into settling for a life where you don't invest in your health, where you don't invest in your happiness, and you don't invest in your life overall. And spending those resources, whether it be your time, whether it be financial resources, whether it be your energetic resources, so many different forms that you exert, that you deplete without getting a return on your investment. And if you were to audit, and I would say auditing is one of the most powerful tools of self-awareness that you can have to really curate and start shifting your perspective into a way that you're daily investing in your health, daily investing in your life, and daily investing in your happiness, just by auditing and fixing small habits that you have that you let slide just because of that instant gratification. You're like, I get it now. I feel good. I treated myself. But all in all, is there any long-term benefit to it? Or are you just burning through these resources, this monetary resource, this time resource, this energetic resource, with nothing to show in return? Think of grand scale, If you're farming you're growing you're cultivating you're trying to take yourself to the next paradigm, the next level. If you're expending the majority of your resources on instant gratification, just the satisfaction without any yield of long term, then you played yourself. I'm just trying to put it in perspective so I can move forward and really show that if you're not investing in things that are, bringing positive energy into your life, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, are they people? Are the people you're around, are they adding to or taking away from your health, your happiness, and your life? It's not just what you're exerting, it's what you're surrounding yourself with. Are you investing in a good environment? Are you spending your time in the right places that are conducive to fueling you, making you happy, giving you a healthy environment that you can be in, and, just adding value to your life? Are the people you're around fulfilling you in ways that enhance your health, enhance your life, and enhance your happiness? It's easy to just slowly accrue a group of people, friends, associates, partners, just adding on to the repertoire. And I'm not saying to limit and narrow and just get rid of people, but you really should be limiting and narrowing and getting rid of people. All in all, if you're really just gonna sit there and just let anybody into your life without any boundaries, without any standards, then that's another way that I see a lot of people investing their resources into something that doesn't provide them long-term benefit and does not really in any way, like I said earlier, in any way add more value of positive emotions, good vibes. What's going on with that? You may be getting that instant gratification. These people are giving you validation. They're hyping you up, gassing you up. They're a bunch of yes men and yes women who are, feeding into you and giving you more temporary boosts of state. But foundationally, is that going to be a long-term benefit? Are they really going to be there for you? Are you in a mutual relationship where you're both benefiting each other where you can grow? Or is it more of just, validation, instant gratification? It feels good. And like I said, invest in your happiness. Invest in your life. You want to cultivate positive influences. But a lot of times, when you do that, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And it may be a short-term benefit instead of a long-term benefit. This person may, be fun in certain areas, but in other areas they're detrimental to you. But because they're fun, give you that validation, you're willing to tolerate them a little bit more than you should, when you should be really filtering them out and getting rid of people. That's a short-term benefit. They're fun, charismatic. It's good to have people like that around. You want to enjoy yourself, but at the same time, is it a long-term benefit? Are they someone who you're going to keep on the side and engage with sparingly? Whereas, the example of you are the most like the 5 people you surround yourself with, are they just a hype man, a hype woman who's in your circle? Or are you really, cultivating an army of people who are going to raise you up, long-term benefits? You're growing, you're thriving together, instead of, just finding escapism in the times that you spend with, the people who you surround yourself with. And, all in all, like I said, it's like you're growing a plant. You are the plant. You gotta water the plant, sunlight, good soil. Make sure that there's no weeds that are trying to, compete with the plant. No insects that are trying to compete with the plant. You want to keep your plant, in a homeostasis, in a state where it can thrive. But are you giving yourself the same amount of self-love as you would if you were growing something else? Are you daily giving yourself that water, that soil, that sunlight, that boundary to other external things? Are you really taking the time to spend your resources in places that are feeding into you? Because I'm sure you're able to, get through, but are you getting through at a point of coping where you're like, oh, I'm growing long term, but I'm growing an inch every year instead of I'm growing feet every day? It's really that much of a difference because it compounds exponentially. Think of how much time, how much resources you've had throughout your whole entire life. Now, I don't usually like to pull on the past for examples, but you've lived and survived the days in the life of you up until this many years so far. If you look back and think of, oh, where did I spend my time at? Or spend my resources at? Where did I exert my energy at? If you got in the habit of, instead of going for the instant gratification, going for, the short-term highs of positive validation and, just exciting things that you wanted to just get a taste of real quick. Like I said, you don't want to limit the breadth of your life's experience. You want to have depth and reach. But same time, if you look back, imagine if you could take a graph and see how much energy you exerted and now how much yield you've gained from it. How much resources you've exerted, how much gain you've gotten from that, how much time you've expended, and how much you've gained from that. I bet it would not be proportional, just because, like I said in the beginning, you've conditioned yourself to settle for a life that's less, or else you'd already be where you want to be. And I mean, obviously, you want to have high aspirations, high goals, things that you possibly may have not been able to achieve yet. Not to put any limiting beliefs out there at all. You could have paradigm shifts and skip the line, get straight to it. But, if you do have something that's a super high aspiration, why aren't you acting like a super high aspiration person and really curating and auditing the way that you spend your resources to get more long-term benefits, and, also make sure that what you do take in is adding positive vibes to your life, to your health, and to your happiness. Because all in all, that's coming back to those 3 pillars. That's what we're aiming for. We're aiming to really just shift everything for you to be like, wow, I've been wrong. I can't say that because people don't like to accept that they were wrong. I may have been wrong about some of my habits, and now I might be able to, look and unfog these goggles that I've been looking at life through. Maybe take them off and open my eyes and be like, whoa, I was not really caring about myself. There was no self-love. I was looking at my life through, give me what I want now, instant gratification, now, give it to me now, I want it. Instead, you were thinking that you were looking at, oh, I'm enjoying myself, I'm enjoying life, I'm doing good for me, I'm pouring into my cup, I'm experiencing things. But that stimulus that you've been chasing after, that you've been seeking, has put those goggles on, the give me, I want to consume everything goggles, which are then clouding your judgment, clouding your perception, and how you're really treating your health, really treating your happiness, and really treating your life. Now that you've hypothetically accepted you may have been wrong, some of those resources, time, energy, may have been spent in ways that weren't necessarily beneficial to you. Hypothetically, now you can shift that you've humored it to, well, yes, there have been times that I've been wrong, and I'm probably wrong about things right now. Now you can start to make the change. Now you can be like, whoa, I could have grown as tall as a tree, but I'm only as high as a short shrub. I'm not a blade of grass, like I'm not that low down in the developmental stage. I've made it this far, but I'm a small shrub, I'm a half a foot tall, I'm not really anywhere. I want to be as high as that tree, but I haven't watered, fertilized, used my boundaries, gotten my sunlight. I've been investing in junk food, poor time spent, bad habits grown. And this me now is the byproduct of all of those things that I've experienced in the past that have come to me now. And now that you've accepted that you've been wrong, you've had another waking up, you got to do this daily, these audits, this curation of your life, and making sure that you're really taking the time daily, moment to moment, to really wake up. Check those blind spots, because these blind spots have been conditioned into you over a long time, very long time. You've lived your whole life this way, settling for things. And that's another huge part, is not only are you conditioning yourself, but you've accepted a state of settling. Like I mentioned, if you had these high goals, you wanted to get to those high goals, are you really treating yourself like a person who would live that life? Or are you willing to settle for the you that's here now? And you got to tell yourself this moment to moment. Is what I'm investing in right now, is what resources I'm expending right now, going to be a long-term benefit that adds positive vibes, positive emotions, positive value to my health, my life, and my happiness? Or am I settling again? Am I falling for the trick of the old me, the one that's way back here? I don't want to be that me. I've distanced myself. I'm trying to grow to the height of the highest tree. I'm not trying to revert back to a blade of grass. I'm trying to, not be a shrub anymore. I'm trying to grow into a large bush, and then a large small tree, and then climb to the highest tree, for analogy's sake. You want to continuously be growing, but you have to check, because these habits are deeply ingrained into your daily life. You got to make sure that you're willing to audit, willing to accept that you are wrong about a lot of things and have been conditioned to settle. The you that's you here now is only the you that's here now because you've been comfortable with that you, and you've been conditioned into being willing to settle for that you. Whereas your mind may be like, but we're going to be this one day, or we're going to be that one day. No. Can't. Don't focus on the future projection. Don't dwell on the past. The you that's here now has this power to take right action, to take massive action to change your health, to change your happiness, to change your life. But you have to do that audit. You have to be willing to not settle. This you that's here in the past, you never want to be that you that's settled ever again, never looking back. Always moving forward into abundance. There's so much abundance that you could be going for. But because you've been narrow-minded into scarcity through not investing properly into long-term benefits, it seems like, there's a limit to what's out there. You don't think that it's that easy to make the right decision, that you've been conditioned to be pulled into that validation, pulled in to all of that stimulus, all of that instant gratification. It feels better for you to go with that which you've settled for so long, is the instant. That, I'll be happy when, that you've let yourself be conditioned into your brain getting wired into, I'll be happy when. I can get the instant gratification now, I'll deal with it later. Not even to say procrastinating, but just the way that your thought process is oriented is, I have time. You've been conditioned so strongly into that validation, that instant gratification, that you will be willing to settle for less and overlook whether or not it's actually beneficial to your health, your life, and your happiness, whether it's giving you positive vibes, positive value, whether the resources are well spent in a long-term benefit. And it's hard to disassociate from that level of comfort that you've built. You're again accepting that you've been wrong, that what you could be enjoying now, and like I said, don't resist a fun experience if it's there just because I gotta be the awesomest me and I have to only not have fun doing things. You should be having fun. That's where the happiness comes in. It should be things that make you feel good, that add to your health. It should be things that enhance your life. And there are things that are instant gratification that do that. But throughout your day, I'm sure that you're willing to settle for a lot less than you really deserve, because you only deserve the best. And all in all, you are enough. It may feel uncomfortable to start changing your lifestyle to a way that, provides better for the future you by investing in a longer term benefit, that healthy food versus that junk food, that exercise versus that sitting around, that watching Netflix versus going out and doing something in the real world, that getting drowned by the stimulus of your phone as opposed to engaging with your environment, that getting stuck in your head in thought versus being present to the moment, conscious. You're trying to make a fundamental change, trying to really throw away that trash old habit. That's settling. And really grow to love investing into yourself. Start to learn to love, to show yourself self-love. And it's weird because you're going opposing into battle against all these things that you've grown to love. But you need to learn to love self-love more than what you've been conditioned to love, for the stimulus, for the instant gratification, for the validation. Because that will just continue to water you a little bit of water every day, and your plant will only grow ever so high. Probably won't even grow any higher because you're giving it the same amount of water every day. You're not also giving it other things. You're not giving it a gallon of water. You're like, oh, well, I used all my resources on other things, so now I can only give myself self-love in this small facet. You know, you don't want to make that your order of operations or a priority in any way. So, it takes you accepting that you're wrong. Never going to settle again. Never going to settle. You've been a settler. You've been settling, sitting at this plateau of stagnation, just living your life in limbo, just discontent and being willing to be discontent, but tricking yourself into thinking that the future you will be better, but not even giving the future you anything to grow from, giving the current you anything to grow from to become the future you. You know? And it's on you. It's only on you. Your health, your happiness, your life. You gotta invest in it for you. Everybody else is concerned about their own. And even then, are they really? Because I feel like they're in the same boat of settling. Why are so many people complaining about the amount of success that they don't have when they don't do what successful people do at the scale that they do it? They want to sit there and be like, well, it's harder for me to leave the comfort of this life I've grown so used to settling for. So I'm gonna do what I think I know should be done to achieve it, but I'm gonna continue to not invest into my health the way I should, just because then I'd have to leave my current state of comfort, and I won't invest into my life the way I should because I'd have to leave my current state of comfort. And I won't invest in my happiness the way I should because I'll have to leave my current state of comfort. And that then starts to feed off of that. Yeah, you know, we're comfortable, and if we have to become discomfortable to become more comfortable, then you know, it's not worth the time. That little seed that got planted back whenever has continued to stay there and limit their success through their own stiflement, when in reality they were the only thing, and you are the only thing that is keeping you from reaching the most optimal health, happiness, and ideal life that you would have if you would just properly invest in yourself and make sure that these investments yield long-term benefits and, you know, give you positive vibes in your life. When going on this journey of investing into your health, investing into your life, and investing into your happiness, you really want to make sure that you're thriving and not coping. There's so much out there for you to accomplish that there's no need for you to be in a state of competition. You know, you want to be sharing. You want to be expansive. You want to be giving value, as opposed to coping, where, you know, you're selfish. You're being petty. You know, you're taking energy, taking value from people, just sucking it out of the life that's around you, as opposed to being in a state of thriving. You fall into coping, and it's hard to make that transition sometimes. Not to put any limiting beliefs out there, you can easily skip the process and switch to viewing your life through goggles of thriving and abundance versus, you know, coping and scarcity. But it's important to really take into account moment to moment, are you thriving or are you slipping back into coping? You know, when you go really and operate from a place of expansiveness, you know, you're investing in your health, your life, and your happiness, you should be ever expanding. There should be a state of thriving where, you know, you're not a plant that is in the desert, you know, so far away from the resources that they need. You should be in the rainforest, surrounded by anything that you could possibly need to create this ecosystem. But if you're not being expansive, you're not growing, then you're not giving value. You know, you're not being able to contribute. You're thinking that, oh no, I need to to keep what I have to survive in the desert, when in reality you're in a rainforest. But you've been settling for so long and expending your resources on things that are so short term that a lot of times it's hard for people to really accept that moment to moment that they could be thriving. They could be really living that life that they've always wanted to live, really happy, really fulfilled in life, really healthy, if they just realize that they are enough, that you are enough. Anything that you could possibly need to be the future you comes from within you. You're the one who's investing in your health, you're the one who's investing in your life and investing in your happiness. So it's coming from you. You could take action, you could be using an external source of stimulus, but all in all, it's you. You are enough. You can thrive right now in whatever circumstances you're at. But it comes to you accepting that you've been wrong, thinking that you can't thrive without something else external, that there's something holding you back. Between you and your goals, there's something keeping you from being able to get there. When in reality, all you have to do is step aside from those old beliefs where you were in coping, where you were like, oh wow, there's something between me and the goal. Oh no, I have to survive back here. Instead of just seeing that I could thrive and continue to move forward. Now, this bamboo doesn't really give life to the example of what I'm trying to give, but when you're consistently going around operating with goggles of, coping, like, how will I make it through this day, through this hour, through this minute, through this second, through the moment to moment, then what are you doing but dying? I'm waiting to get to a happier time I can't enjoy now. The me that's here now, I'm disowning it. I'm gonna cope. It's the world against me. What can I do? Oh, poor me. I'm gonna just take her energy. Take her energy, because that's all I can do, because it's so far away I can't even fathom that I could be there right now in a state of thriving. I'm just going to drain the life out of things instead of giving into it. And you may be like, well, you need to invest in yourself to acquire this higher state of life, health, and happiness. So wouldn't you need to take? No, in no way, shape, or form. You're taking, just like you were taking, that instant gratification, that validation, those short-term satiations versus the long-term wins. And say you drink a cup of water. That's a short-term win right there. Instant gratification, you got that thirst quenched. But it's not necessarily not a long-term investment. Over the next hour, your body will be processing that water in a healthy way. You got the initial. You could have drank juice, could have drank soda, could have drank liquor, you could have drank so many other types of fluid, but you chose to drink the water. Now, your body over that hour, instead of feeling like crashing from a sugar high from drinking the soda, can now thrive. It's not coping like, I was thirsty, I kind of quenched the thirst with the soda, but now my body is in coping. Versus you could have been in thriving if you chose the water. And now over that hour, your body's like, oh, I can reach homeostasis now. This feels so good. So much of a difference, so much of a difference. Now, are you going to really take the time to check your blind spots? And like I said before, accept that you were wrong, that being in a state of coping and settling is of no benefit to you. Taking from the people who are around you, being selfish. Me, it's me. I need to be happier. I need to have a better life. I need to be healthier. Me. So I'm gonna take, because that's what I need. I need to add more into me. No. You being selfish, you being petty, like, oh, well, they have it better than me, so I'm gonna look down upon them, instead of, thriving, being like, oh, everybody has within them the potential to take action, to get healthier, to have a better life, to be happier. Everyone's thriving. I was just coping, being selfish, being petty over things, getting stuck in my head, living in a world with these goggles of take, take, me, as opposed to being able to, see the abundance of things that are around you, that, you can be expansive, you can be thriving. Think of the shift from that to thriving. Look at how drastically different they are. You're thriving now. There's not a need to take. You can be expansive. You're adding to your health, you're adding to your happiness, and adding to your life. So now you have extra to expand. You get more creative because you're expanding. You're giving value to people instead of taking it. That expansiveness, that creativity that comes from it, that giving, that cycles around and creates a new reality, a new set of glasses that you can look through where your sight's not clouded. You're like, whoa, I'm thriving. Even though, it may not be that instant satiation or gratification that causes you to think that you're enough and you can settle for that you that you're now. It opens you up to that exponential growth of, well, I invested this little bit in me over time. If I continue, then it'll compound and grow. And now it'll start to be this much that I'm investing. And then it'll become this much. And this much will be how much is getting invested. That exponential growth from giving and seeing that you can thrive in your environment instead of feeling like you're coping in your environment is such a difference that will change the amount of growth you can have in such a short period of time. If you're not being creative, you're not looking for more opportunities. You're thinking that, oh no, I'm coping. There's nothing to be creative. There's nothing to use to manifest the creativity. I have to have it given to me. I need to take the creativity from someone else. Whereas you could just be there in a state of thriving and be like, oh wow, well, I know I am enough. I don't need anything else. I'm expanding as I invest in my health, my life, and my happiness in positive ways that are longer term investments than the instant that will satiate me and cause me to not want to continue to expand more because I've satiated it, and now I don't need to expand anymore. Instead, you can satiate and expand. You can grow. The creativity will come because you'll be thriving. You're like, whoa, there's so much I can do to invest in my health, invest in my happiness, and invest in my life that I wasn't even considering before because I was like, oh, it's me coping in the world. Whereas now it's like, wow, I can thrive. I am enough already. I don't really need anything else but to take action, take right action. And that growth, that creativity, that giving value will then turn around and you'll get the same thing back. You'll be surrounding yourself by pursuing things that will then continue to feed into you and give you more to give, more to thrive with, instead of being stuck in that coping. And it's really checking and making sure that you're not being selfish. You're not taking value. You're not being petty. Instead, you're giving value. You're being expansive. You're being creative. There's such a simple transition that people don't take because they're stuck in their head. They think it's so far away, so unattainable, that they just distance themselves from that you that's in you now, where you can be thriving regardless of the external. Because any growth that enhances your health, your happiness, or your life comes from you taking the action. Now, are you going to choose to take action from a place of coping, where it's you versus the world, where you need things in order to be able to take that action? Or are you going to be coming from a place of thriving, where you realize and have accepted that you were wrong before, you are enough? You can now move forward and thrive. You can move forward and give that value. Be more creative, more expansive. It's in your hands and it's your choice. But it's important to make sure that you don't slip back into coping, because oftentimes the new journey is a longer journey. You're not settling anymore. You're leaving that comfort zone that you've been so conditioned to love, so conditioned to be willing to tolerate. You're really stepping outside of that comfort to, take what may be in your eyes smaller wins. Short-term benefits aren't coming, so where is the point of investing in it? I'm not happy right now. But if you're looking at things from thriving, it's not the me now, I need to be satiated now. It's the you long-term who's going to be winning, who's going to be crushing it, who's going to be decimating any opposition, because you're coming from such an expansive place, a creative space, a giving space, that when other things that you would have before viewed as competitive, things that would challenge the amount you would be able to invest into your happiness, your health, and your life, are now viewed as like, oh, well, I'm thriving. I used to be that coping, competitive, but now I'm collaborative. I see that there's so much out there that, I'm just brush off my shoulders. Can't pay it the time of day. Goodbye. Looking back at that old you, looking back at those people who are at a lower paradigm of coping, not to demean them, but to just disassociate and never go back. I mean, if you want to be settling for less when you know that all it is in you to change your perspective, to choose to thrive, then hey, more power to you. Hope you don't stay there, but I'm gonna have to leave you because I can't go back. It goes back to, what are you actually investing in your health now that you see that you're thriving? What are you investing in your life? What are you investing in your happiness now that you're thriving? Are your habits going to change with that perspective, or are you going to, revert back? Not necessarily to the same habits, but say to the same mindset. You may be taking the right action, but is your mindset in a state of coping, or is your mindset in a state of thriving? Are you consistently refreshing your goggles? You get a little smudge. Are you going to let that coping smudge cloud your vision? Or are you going to clear that out and get back to thriving? Oh, something happened. It didn't go your way. Instead of that investment turning into a positive, turn into a negative. And now you're like, oh no, are you going to be stuck in those thoughts and dwell? You're still looking through thriving, but now you're dwelling in thought on, coping. Like, oh, how am I going to come back from this? Is this going to pay off in the manner I'm investing all this time? Is it going to actually pan out to be what I want it to be? And, the thriving is where it comes into perspective of something like this bamboo. Each bamboo stock has all the room to thrive. There's no competition. Everybody can thrive. Nobody needs to be coping, trying to kill off the other bamboo. Each bamboo stock is like, yo, I'm expansive. I'm growing. I'm going up, 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 thriving, expansive. I'm giving value to my ecosystem. I'm getting more creative. I'm investing continuously in that health, in that happiness in my life. Whereas, they could choose to be competitive and destroy each other from a coping place, being selfish and petty, and then, they wouldn't realize that they could thrive, that all of them could exist and be successful and grow to their highest potential if they just decided to thrive, realize that they are enough, as opposed to coping, being selfish, petty, competitive, contracting. Like I said, you are enough. It's in your hands. All that you could possibly need is in you. Just takes you choosing to take that action to actually make the shift. You are enough. You can invest in your happiness, your health, and your life from a place of thriving instead of coping. Reject that selfishness, that pettiness, being contractive, taking value, just sucking away the life from things, and switch to abundance, where you're growing, you're thriving, you're creative, you're expansive. Because that's where you'll be able to continue to ascend and hit every single level of every single paradigm, as opposed to dwelling and stagnating. Thriving is where you need to be, not coping. You are enough. You can thrive starting right now. Just takes you shifting that perspective to really accepting it at your core and changing those goggles from coping to thriving. It's crucial that you understand how much it benefits you to be giving. You're spending so much of your time viewing things through scarcity, thinking that, you have to compete for the resources to invest in your health, to invest in your happiness and your life. But in reality, there's an abundance, so much abundance. And if you focus on that scarcity, you end up burning yourself out so quickly. The goals seem so much farther away. You think it takes so much more for you to get the resources you need to then move forward with the next step, when in reality there's so much abundance. Now, you may be stuck in your head dwelling on time, like, oh, well, it's gonna take forever, so now my motivation's down. Now I'm getting stuck in my head dwelling on the time that wasn't spent properly. When in reality, if you start to switch to giving, see how crucial giving can be in terms of sustaining that state of abundance. You know, if you're going around like, oh wow, if I want to be healthier, I gotta take money away from other things and put it into the health, and then that takes away things I can invest in my happiness, and then things that I can invest in my life, and that scarcity just builds upon itself. Now, if you go into a frame of giving, you're like, oh well, how can I help someone else? It reinforces in you that you are enough as is. You're gonna get there. Just because you haven't gotten there yet doesn't mean you're not going to get there. So you're not necessarily taking away value from yourself by giving, but it reconditions yourself into abundance and out of scarcity. Imagine if you were trying to do it lone soldier. No one was contributing to you ever. You would be in scarcity. You'd be, wow, I'm one track minded, me versus the world, versus the universe. Cosmos are against me. But if you're like, oh wow, let me give to my circle, the people who I'm surrounding myself with, let me help build them up in a way that I can help. Then all of a sudden, you're putting out there that, wow, I'm enough, I can still achieve my goal, and I can give at the same time. And in turn, you giving that value brings them back around to giving value to you. Think if you were the only person investing in your health, you had no support system, no accountability, no sustainable structure for regimenting your nutrition, your sleep, your time spent, your happiness. No one else was investing in your wellness, your state of mind. No one else was giving. Then you may be in a situation where that scarcity is around you. You need to start to curate who you're surrounding yourself with to make sure that people around you are contributing, giving to you, but not from that coping versus thriving, where you're coping and you're taking from them, but you're thriving, you're expansive, you're finding new ways, being creative to give to people, because you're in abundance. You're collaborating because there's so much out there. You don't need to compete for it. Everybody's going to get theirs. The cosmos are so expansive. If you just look up, you see so much. There's this tree, then there's the air between us and this tree, there's the atmosphere, there's then our galaxy, then the infinite cosmos. There's so much out there. Out of all that there is in the cosmos, or narrowing it down to the small rock that we're floating through space on, this planet, out of all the resources, out of all the people that there are on the planet, there's enough to go around. If you give more, you get into that thriving, where you're expansive. You're not contractive, you're not in scarcity, burning yourself out, worrying about sustaining this so-called great state that you're at, that you've been conditioned to settle for. If you're in scarcity and you're not giving, all you're doing is trying to consume to sustain that scarcity. Now, if you switch to giving, then you're like, wow, I've been sustaining this scarcity, trying to expend all my resources just to stay stagnant. But instead of doing that, let me give a little bit. Let me become expansive, go from that coping into that thriving that we talked about. That giving then fundamentally shifting your perspective on how you see the abundance that there is out there. Opening your eyes to more opportunities, more resources, better ways to invest into that health, that life, that happiness that you wouldn't see before because you're so set in scarcity. Giving gives you so much value on the return end because you're not going backwards. You're not going backwards to a place where you were in scarcity, where you were coping, where you were settling, where you're stuck in your head, where you weren't contributing those long-term wins towards your health, towards your happiness, towards your life. You're not going back there. So the only way to move forward is to start to give, to have that circle of people who are investing in you, to also be able to give to them, to grow together in abundance. You're not even competing against them because there's so much out there that everybody's going to be able to get theirs, everybody's going to be okay, everybody's going to be able to succeed, acquire what they want, what they desire, the optimal health, life, and happiness. But if you're stuck trying to sustain for yourself, then how are you going to, be like a snow globe? Shaking the snow globe, you're hoarding all those snowflakes in there. What if you shared the snowflakes? It's going to snow again next year. Capture some more. Not to say you're going to wait a year until you get more resources to invest in yourself, but if you're not in the habit of giving, then you're just going to be like a snow globe sitting on the shelf. Oh wow, hey, look at the snow globe. Shake it. But then you sustain that same level. You don't expand anymore because you're in scarcity. Whereas you could go out and find all sorts of amazing things. Instead of being a snow globe that houses snowflakes, you could be a snow globe that houses frosted flakes. Who knows? Possibilities could be endless. But you're not giving, so you're not expansive, you're not growing, you're just stagnating. So giving is more so to get you out of your current state and into a new paradigm, to expand what you're able to experience by seeing the abundance, trying new things, investing in others, giving instead of hoarding and being stifled by capping out on how high you think you can achieve your goals by because you've settled and stagnated for so long. Just give. Go into abundance. Leave scarcity behind. Really invest properly into your health, into your life and into your happiness by seeing that there's an abundance. And you can give and still be in that state of abundance. It'll pay off because it'll put you out of that old you and bring you to a new you, a new perspective, taking away those old goggles of scarcity and changing them to goggles of abundance, where you can just see everything that was there before, but because you weren't giving, you weren't seeing that there was an abundance of resources, that you don't have to keep it. You have extra you can give because everybody will get theirs. Then now you can see that. And now you can succeed in investing in your health, your life, and your happiness so much more efficiently because you're giving instead of being in scarcity and just willing to settle. That abundance is real. It's there. You just have to shift your perspective to see it.